Hello, my happy book readers. I'm Kenzie, and today's video is Everything book versus the movie. If you don't know the story of Everything, it's about a girl named Maddie who suffers from a disease called SCID, which causes her to not leave her house. She's basically allergic to everything, so if she steps outside, she'll probably die. She'll get sick and stuff like that. So the story is about her life. She is 17, I believe, in the movie and book, and basically what happens is this family moves in next door, and their son takes an interest in Maddie. Basically, they form a love connection and things take off from there. It's a very powerful story about growing up and finding out who you are as a person. If you haven't read it or seen the movie, I'd highly suggest going and seeing them. Book versus the movie. The directors actually did a pretty good job at getting the plot correct. The characters are right. They didn't really leave anyone out. And overall storyline is the same. As book to movie adaptations go, this is actually a pretty solid adaptation. Compared to the book, I would give the movie about a 4.5 out of 5. There were a couple things that I didn't really like about it, and there were a couple things that didn't follow the book, but overall it was pretty spot on. The things that I didn't like about the movie versus the book is that, one, in the movie we don't really get into Maddie's head as much as we do in the book. And obviously that's going to happen. It's really hard to accomplish that in movies, and I get that. I really do. But I feel like we could have gotten more of Maddie's character. The book is told basically as like a string of Maddie's thoughts. We experience snippets of her life and of conversations that she has. And I think that it would have been more beneficial to the movie had they done it that way. I feel like a lot of the characters in the movie were lacking in their character. But for example, I love Ollie in the book. I think that his story is just as important as Maddie's, and I think that honestly Nicola Yoon could write a whole book just on Ollie. And so to not get as much of him in the movie as we do in the book, it was kind of disappointing. We get his character and he's there, he's present, just like he is in the book, but it's not, I don't know, you don't really like fall like deeply in love with him like you do in the book. I think that the movie could have dived deeper into Ollie's family history and Ollie's personality, but they didn't. They really lack his character. They really kind of pulled his character back and didn't embrace his dorky weirdness fully. Oh, and speaking of, the relationship between Maddie and Ollie in the book is, granted, in the book, I think it's really awkward. That's just me though. I think that they have a very awkward relationship, but like in a way it works for them, but it is extremely awkward. And, you know, there's also really important parts in the book, like if you haven't read the book, when Maddie and Ollie first communicate with each other, Ollie actually rejects Maddie, but we don't experience that in the movie, and I think that like really disappointed me. I think that in the book that rejection, that first rejection, is like building point for both of their characters. I think that you get to see just from that single scene how much Maddie grows and how much Ollie grows, and we don't experience that in the movie, and I think that that shows, like, I think that's one of the reasons why we lack so much personality from these characters in the movie. See, a lot of it is with character, and I feel like that's always the big thing in movies, is that we don't experience our characters to the max. And I know that that's silly because, come on, it's a movie, like they can't do everything, but at the same time, a character in the story is the essential part of a story. You have, especially with YA contemporary novels, the characters are everything, and their stories are everything to these plots. So I think that when directors are making a YA contemporary novel into a movie, sometimes they don't necessarily consider the character development, and that angers me. But anyways, moving on with more character. Another thing that I was a little disappointed about with the movie was that in the book, Maddie and her mom have a pretty strong relationship. I wouldn't call it like best friend relationship or anything like that, but it's a very solid mother-daughter relationship. And in the movie, we don't really get that. Honestly, after the first scene with Maddie's mom, I really thought that Maddie's mom hated her. And I think that's another thing. Like, and they gave a lot of Maddie's mom's lines, like important lines, to Carly Carla. And so instead of seeing both the mom and Carla as equal individuals and equally like bad and good, we view the mom lower and we view Carla higher. And that's because the directors or the writers didn't give the right lines to people. So we really lack character. Honestly, I think the one thing that just really irked me about this film was that the characters weren't there. Coming home from the movie theater, I reread the book and then I dived deeper into both the film and the book and I compared them. I did a lot of thinking on these two comparisons, and I think that even while watching the movie, I noticed that the characters weren't there. There was several times in the movie for me that I kind of got a little bored. I also wasn't a huge fan of how they portrayed Maddie and Ali's relationship. I briefly talked about this before, I know. But, okay, like I said, Maddie and Ali in the books are kind of awkward. They're more talkative over text and email, but not necessarily in person. And granted, this is the 21st century. That's basically how we all are, I feel. But at the same time, you still kind of get that they're connected. They have a weird sort of teenage connection. But in the movie, you don't necessarily receive that. Oh, the movie was so awkward. Like in the book, like their awkwardness kind of made me smile, and it was dorky, and it was like, oh my god, y'all are such babies. Like, oh, I just want to pinch your cheeks. But in the movie, they were so awkward that there were moments where I was like squirming in my seat. Like, I didn't want to be there because they were so awkward. I'm not kidding. Oh, it was so awkward. It bothers me. Oh my god. So the book, I got used to their awkwardness. It was what made them them. But in the movie, it was so awkward to the point that I didn't want to be there. And by the time that the whole I love yous came out, I didn't believe it. The movie did not allow me to believe that their love for each other was real, and that really kind of got on my nerves. Overall, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I also wasn't a huge fan of the book, so it could just be me. My little sister absolutely loved the movie. So if you loved the book, I would suggest going to see the movie. I definitely think it's beneficial. It really got a lot of points right. Yeah, so I would give it about a 2 out of 5 or a 3 out of 5, just because the characters were underdeveloped, and that's really it, because mostly the characters were underdeveloped. That's all for this video. Comment your thoughts about the movie and book down below. I'd love to hear them. But yeah, guys, comment, like, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.